Good afternoon. Anybody in the room, can you tell me what happened on December 20th, 1989? Anybody? No? Well, I'm here to tell you that this was the day that our country went and captured General Manuel Noriega and liberated the Panama people while preserving the U.S. interest in the Panama Canal Treaty. At 2100 hours on December 19th, 1989, I was called into battle. I was an Army paratrooper for the 35th Signal Brigade, and my job title was a 31 Charlie. That's a satellite communications specialist. I've been training for months with a Special Forces group in preparation for this day. My job was to make sure that I executed the mission at hand. As we boarded the plane from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, with my gun, my equipment, and my action, I thought to myself, really? Is this really happening? I'm about to go into battle. The flight took about 3 hours, but it felt like a lifetime. Our commander gave us our instructions. We had our orders. We knew what our mission was. The sound of the deafening sound of silence as my fellow soldiers thought about what was about to happen. As we arrived at our jump zone, the jump master stood up next to a red light on the right shoulder. It was about to turn green. The door opened up. The wind rushed through the C-130 aircraft. As he said to the person that was the first jumper, "Stand in the door." Jumper stood in the door. He slapped him on the rear and said, "Go." As I floated down on my T-10 parachute at 26 feet per second, I started to pray. I'm not a very religious man, but I was a religious man that day, praying for my safety, for my family who was home sleeping. We landed on the ground safely. I hooked my equipment off my chute, set up my radio satellite, radioed to headquarters. We were safe. We were heading to our mission. Operation Just Cause had just begun. In 1967, Manuel Noriega had received military training by the United States government. Noriega was handpicked by the United States as a potential partner, and he was useful in the CIA's counterintelligence operations in 1970. In 1983, he became the most powerful man in Panama and was promoted to general to lead the National Guard. And then he created the Panamanian Defense Force, better known as the PDF. He controlled the country behind the scenes of several presidents and got involved in corrupt activities and drug smuggling. The United States slowly began pulling away its support for General Noriega, and allegations of corruption charges were made by the U.S. Noriega, in return, claimed this was a ploy to stop the treaty set forth by Jimmy Carter to turn over the Panama Canal to the Panamanian people in the year 2000. Throughout the mid-late 1980s, Noriega became more powerful and more critical of the United States' intentions. He began ordering the PDF to conduct harassing incidents to provoke the United States into some sort of conflict. On December 16th, days before the invasion, and after declaring his presidency by force, General Noriega declared a phantom war on the U.S. Later that night, under his leadership, the PDF shot and killed a Navy lieutenant while detaining and abusing other military personnel. According to Ronald H. Cole in his book Operation Just Cause, the preparation for the removal of the president, General Noriega, had gone on for about 18 months. The United States needed to oust the leader in order to preserve its interests of the Panama Canal and Central America. And they did this by first removing General Noriega. At one time, he was a trusted ally, and he turned against the U.S., dealing in drugs and running a dictatorship in and oppressing its people. Some would say that this war, which happened just a few months after the Berlin Wall fell, and right after the invasion of Kuwait right before the invasion of Kuwait, was a tragedy of poor political manipulation by the United States government. For those who served and defended the U.S. position, such as myself, it was an honor to have participated. On the eve of December 19, 1989, George Bush gave the order for military action to capture General Noriega. The military invasion began on December 20, 1989 at 0200 hours and ended in just 24 hours after it had begun. The capture of General Noriega was accomplished. The military operations continued for 3 days after, before it became a peacekeeping mission. According to the military.archives.org, the unofficial site for the military, 26,000 troops took part in the Operation Just Cause, and 23 lives were lost, while another 325 more were injured during the invasion.